you. Nice to see you, Nice. Have you ever heard the saying that once you're an addict, you're always an addict?
Yes.
Well, on the 17th of May 2007, my book was released and I gave it this title on purpose: Once an Addict. Why? Because I was once an addict and now I'm clean, actually 25 years clean. And tonight I'm going to tell you my story, but I want to say this at the start. I've not come here tonight to tell you my story to glorify my past. I've not. The reason why I've come to tell you my story tonight is so that you can look at me and think, hey, if he can change, that means I can change. In fact, if he can change and stay changed for 25 years, that means anybody can change and stay changed for 25 years. That's if you choose to change and you're willing to put the work in. So I am not here to big up myself in any way. I'm not. And I know each and every one of you have got your own story to tell. Some of you have been through things I've never been through. I know that as well. But tonight it's my turn. I was living on William Kent Crescent, which was one of 5 blocks of flats that was in Hume, Moss Side, Manchester. They had the nickname the bull rings because they were shaped like bull rings. And I just saw some drugs to this guy, and as I was walking out through the front door, 2 coppers came walking past. It wasn't Ant. They stopped, they looked through the door, they walked in, they charged me with possession of a Class A drug, heroin, with intent to supply, and because I had the charges, I didn't get bail. I ended up in Strangeways on remand in a cell with a guy called Spike. He was into drugs too. My girlfriend at the time was called Lisa. And way back in the day in Strangeways prison on remand, you could have visits 6 days a week. And she would visit me more or less 6 days a week. We'd have our little chats and then we'd have our goodbye kisses. And that's when she passed drugs from her mouth into my mouth. So everything was sweet. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was laying on my bed and Spike was laying on his bed. And it was really quiet, which is unusual for a Saturday because a lot of people get visits. And there's usually a lot of noise, especially in those old Victorian jails like Strangeways. But on this particular Saturday, Spike, why is it so quiet, man? I don't know, Baz. Next minute, the key goes in the door. I'm thinking, nice one, time for my visit. Door open, sniffer dog came in. Prison officers behind it. Right, lads, stand up, you're being busted. Busted for what, boss? We've done now. Of course, we were lying. The dog sniffed around the cell. The officers searched the cell. They didn't find any drugs because they'd come before our visits. But they found some other drugs paraphernalia, so they put us in solitary confinement. And on the Monday, we had to go and see the governor. He added 5 weeks to our sentence, and he sent us back to what we call the block for 5 weeks. So by now, I've gone Saturday, Sunday, Monday without any drugs in my system. I wasn't feeling well. My back was, it was aching. My legs were killing me. I wasn't sleeping. I was restless. I was hallucinating. I was rattling big time. And there was one officer that used to work down in the block. And he would come to my spy hole and he'd shout stuff through it to wind me up because he knew I was an addict. But let me take you back to the beginning of my life because my starting life was good. I was born in Salford. My dad was originally from a little place called Stainforth in Doncaster, Yorkshire, a little mining community it was. His dad was a miner, his brother was a miner, and I've seen a picture of his mother and she could have been a miner as well. He got drafted into the army, got stationed in Eccles in Salford, went to a club one night called Finch's. That's when he met me mum. They started to go out. When he left the army, they settled in Salford and got married. My 2 brothers were born. Then I was born. My parents tell me that I was an ugly baby. In fact, I was so ugly the doctors put me in an incubator with tinted windows. The midwife told me, look at my face. She says, like my mother. Primary school didn't take me long to realise I had the IQ north of a bedroom slipper. The wheel was turning, but the hamster was dead. Secondary school, my nickname was Bungalow because I didn't have much upstairs. The light was on, but there was nobody home. I left school at 16 with all qualifications. And that's when I met Craig, Huey, and Psycho. Psycho had crossed eyes. So when he looked at you, he never actually looked at you. He had tattoos on his fingers, love and hat. He'd not put E on the end of hate. And then he went into smoking weed, taking amphetamines and using LSD. I started to knock about with them and take the same drugs they were taking. We were young, so we were going to have a good time. It was a Friday night. Imagine you're a fly on the wall. We were in Jackie Marshall's bedroom. She lived on a council estate in Salford. 9 of us were crammed into Jackie's little box room with smoking weed. Listening to Bob Marley and the Wailers. The room's full of smoke. The windows are vibrating the bass line. We've got money in our pockets. And we're getting ready to go to Manchester on a night out like we did every weekend. And the door opens. And one of the lads, Huey, comes walking in, short back and sides, big long fringe. Hey guys, I've got some brown, which is heroin. Who wants some? Craig looked at me. I looked at Huey. Huey looked at Psycho. And he attempted to look back. And I remember the look on Craig's face. Craig was always the first to jump in. Do you know someone like that? Are you like that? I'm up for it. Everybody in the room had the heroin and I was the last one. Come on, Woody. I didn't want to be the only one not to try it. And I was curious. What's the buzz? I'd smoked weed, I'd taken amphetamine, I'd tripped on LSD. What's the buzz? I was injected with it. Man, was I disappointed? All I did that night was scratch. Because opium makes you itch. Gouching out. None of us went to town that night. We just stayed in Jackie Marshall's bedroom. Gouching out, scratching. Running to the toilet and being sick. We met up the next day in the Bull's Head pub. What was all that about? What a waste of money. Not having that again. A few more days passed. We had it again. Then we had it again. And again. And again. And before you knew it, we were taking it every day. But if you'd have said to me then, Barrett, are you an addict? I'd have said, no way, man. I'm in control. I can handle it. But I was good at living in denial. My mates were as well. If you'd have said the same to them, they'd have said, we can handle it. But that drug that we thought we were in control of by now had proper control over us. We changed as a group of lads. At first, typical working class bunch of lads. If there was a fight, we'd back each other up. If one didn't have money, we sorted each other out. But once everyone got hold of us, that changed. We were stabbing each other in the back, ripping each other off, robbing from our families. We used to go to a pub in town called the Union on Canal Street. Could buy drugs in there. Could buy knocked off gear in there. Working girls would pick up clients in there. Do you know I liked it in there? Do you know why I liked the Union? Nobody judged me. You could smoke indoors and I could sit and smoke weed all night long and day. I could take other drugs. Nobody judged me for being a drug user and I wasn't going to judge them. I still don't judge people now. Who am I to judge? In fact, I liked it that much in the Union that I started to go on my own. Without Craig, Huey, and Psycho during the week. And I got friendly with this mixed race girl called Corrine. In my book, I've called her Colette. Oh, it just so happens that there's some of those books at the table on the back over there. Just so happens. When the book came out in 2007, we started a project to give a copy of that free of charge to every prisoner in the United Kingdom. Right now, we've sent over 55,000 copies of that book into prisons. 55,000. One small way to support that, if you buy anything on that table, any book, any DVD, which you can download and watch on your phone, we've made it that you can download the files or the file, we will send a copy free of charge into a prison on your behalf. Corrine, my book I've called her Colette, she was into dealing cannabis. And as I'm knocking around with Corrine and meeting people, watching, learning, I could do that. So I started to sell weed and I started to make good money. Then I started to sell amphetamines and LSD because back then the Union was the kind of pub where a lot of people would stop off before going out clubbing to buy drugs. Or the night after football or the night before football. So there was money to be made. I was in the Union one night, sat next to the jukebox, smoking a spliff, which was like a cigarette with cannabis in. And Corrine is sat opposite me talking to this white girl who had blonde hair and blue eyes. nose pierced. And they were chatting, looking over at me and laughing. Chatting, looking over. What are they laughing at? The blonde who went to the toilet, and Kareen came over. Barry, have you seen that blonde bird that I'm talking to? Yeah, she fancies you. I'm like, nice one. Do you know who she is? Well, I didn't know her, but I knew of her because she was living with a Rastafarian who we used to buy drugs from, who lived in Hume. I started to see her behind the Rastafarian's back. Eventually, there was a confrontation, and we moved into a flat in Hume, Meredith Court. Pub called the Gamecock. It's still there. It's derelict now. Students have lived in it more recently, but it's derelict. Right, it's still there. I drove past it a few weeks ago. So now I had a base. People could come to my flat any time of day, any time of night to buy drugs. That's when I started to sell heroin. Some of you have been around long enough this area to know there's some stuff that happened in the 90s with the Gooch gang and the Donaldson gang and then the Cheetham Hill gang and Paul Massey, all of that. Well, just before the Gooch gang thing happened and the Donaldson gang that happened, there was a window where not a lot of people were dealing heroin. I was in that window. So I was making good money. Everything was going great. I had the best flat in our block. Everything was nicked from Habitat. Crew Grand, Sovereign, nice clobber. Best hi-fi system, 24-band graphic equalizer, actual physical one it was. Remember them? Proper class sound system. Everything was going great. And then I got nicked. Crime can pay. That's why a lot of people do it. But, as I say in the jails that are speaking, no matter how smart you are, you're going to get nicked at some point and lose the second most important thing you've got. The most important thing that we've all got in this room, health. Second, your freedom. You're going to lose your liberty. I got remanded in custody in strange ways. They put me on the hospital wing because there was no treatment in jails in those days for people who were addicts. Then they put me onto G wing, which was the remand wing for young offenders. I did some time on remand, straight out, back to Hume, central Manchester, ducking and a diving, wheeling and a dealing, gotten it again, ended up back in jail. I was now locked onto this treadmill of having to commit crime to pay for the drugs that I was addicted to. I came out from Preston prison once. Lisa met me at the gate. I've got my train pass, my discharge grant in my pocket that you give me. Come on, Lisa, let's go and celebrate. Skinned up walking to the train station, skinned up on the train. Got off at Victoria Station, got a taxi to Hume. First thing that I did, by now Lisa was living on the Bullrings. Went to my doctor's, got my 28 Valium, my 28 DF118s, 14 Temazepam. I got loads of amphetamines because it gives you energy, and I wanted to celebrate. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, no sleep. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, no sleep. Baz, you need to get your head down. I don't need to get my head down. Give me more amphetamines. Do you know how much sleeping I did in jail? 23-hour bang up. Used to give myself a headache through trying to sleep. Give me more whiz. By now, the acid house scene had started in the Hacienda nightclub. Lisa, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a studio. I'm going to start to make acid house music. So I've got a little mixer and a drum machine and a Roland TB303. That's what makes it acid sounding, acid house music. And I sit there twiddling knobs, wooding out of my face, celebrating getting out of prison. 9 months I'm still sat there. You should have seen me by now. By now I look like Skeletor on acid. Then right out of the blue I started to hear voices. When I flushed the chain, Lisa, come and listen to the voices shouting out of that water. There's no voices there, Barry. Don't you tell me there's no voices there. The people that I knew who lived on the other Bullrings, I thought they were shouting across. Can you hear them shouting across, Lise? It's all in your head. Don't you tell me it's all in my head. I stopped taking the amphetamines. I was frightened. I was scared. Wouldn't go outside the front door. Eventually I went to see a doctor. He referred me to a psychiatrist. The diagnosis was amphetamine psychosis. He sent me to Cheetah Royal Psychiatric Hospital. Some of you know where that is. Man, that was the lowest point and the worst spot I've ever been in. Yeah, I've done a bit of bird. I've never done big bird, but I've done bits of bird. I've been in a padded cell in Leicester prison in a straitjacket that they put me in after having this fight. But Cheetah Royal Mental Health Hospital was the worst place I've ever been in because now I was out of control. There's nothing the doctors will say to me or no drug that they could give me to get rid of these voices. I had to learn to live with them. Flash forward 9 years, I'm still hearing voices. I split up with Lisa. By this point in my life, though, I was so poor, I used to go to KFC to look at other people's fingers. I'd lived in 3 hostels. I spent a year in one of those. And then I got a little housing association flat down a cul-de-sac. Ground floor it was on. It was only 2 high. It had PVC windows. Been built about 4 or 5 years. Grass outside the front door near the bins. I thought, oh, I've arrived. When I looked out a living room window where I went to view it, there was these rolling hills behind the estate. I'm thinking, this is that country lifestyle that I've seen on Emmerdale Farm. Went to our parade dog zone, got myself a little Jack Russell called the Kim. She had a black patch on one eye, short, stumpy tail, and she's really aggressive. Got me grants from the council. Put me nylon carpets down, put my net curtains up. Got me grant for my cooker and my fridge. Thursday were my favourite day in those days, because that's when I used to cash my benefits. I cashed my benefits this particular Thursday, get me money, get on the bus to go into the town centre. It takes off, it stops at the next stop, and this guy gets on. He's got like a Barstool dot. It's like a tattoo beauty spot they used to do ages ago. People still do them now, but it's like to say they've been in Barstool back in the day. He had a big fat neck and short, stumpy fingers. I've ever been on a bus or a train, and it's full. There's 2 seats spare, one next to you, one over there, and somebody gets on, you're like, oh no. And you're moving to the middle, putting your bag there. Well, he gets on, there's 1 seat over there and one next to me. He walks past that seat and sits next to me. Are you all right, mate? Oh, it wasn't until you sat down. My name's John. All right, John. And we got chatting, and he was dead friendly. He was dead genuine. He kind of he's into music. He's still into music, but a different generation. It was kind of like Northern Soul. So he knew about a couple of Twisted Wheel in town, which was kind of like, and he knew a few people that I knew in town. But so there was a connection. I got off the bus that day and I kept thinking, that guy was sorted. He had something that was different. Apart from my fat neck, that is, there was something else. That was the Thursday. The following Sunday, I was taking my dog Kim for a walk. I used to take her to these big fields behind the local hospital every day. And as I'm walking past the hospital to get to these fields, I ever guess who I bumped into? The guy with the bosses up, the big fat neck and the short stumpy fingers. Are you all right, mate? How you doing? I was chatting to you on Thursday, remember? Of course I do, man. Where have you been? I've been to church. Oh, no. No, he's a Christian. You can come if you want. You meet in the hospital grounds every Sunday. I'm like, no way, mate. I'm not into church. Okay, he went his way, I went mine. The next day, I'm taking my dog for a walk. Now, as I'm walking past the hospital, I'm looking for a church in the hospital grounds. Come here, Kim. Sit. Stay. Can't see a church in there. I was looking for a building with a steeple tower, stained glass windows, graveyard. Somebody stood at the door dressed like Darth Vader. Can't see a church in there. Must have been having me on. Next day, no way is there a church in there. Wednesday was my first appointment with my new psychiatrist in the new area that I just moved to. His name is Dr. Samuel Yangi from Nigeria. He was sat in his high back leather chair with his gold rimmed glasses on, really confident. Didn't think anything of that appointment. That afternoon, taking my dog for a walk, looking for a church. No way could I see a church. Friday morning, my door goes, who's that? Is that the coppers? Natural reaction still today. And I thought, they don't knock. And I went into the hallway. I was looking for the shape of the copper through the frosted glass. Back in the day, some of you will remember the police, you had to be a certain height to get in. They changed that now. So I'm looking through the frosted glass with this wire in it and the net curtain thinking, that can't be a copper, that's too small. So I opened the door. It was this little woman, 4'9", 21 stone. Pair of plastic glasses with sellotape at the side. Grey leggings that were baggy at the knees. Are you all right, Cock? My name's Dot. I'm your next door but one neighbour. I've come to introduce myself. You've just moved in, haven't you? Well, yeah, about 5 weeks ago. You've come up from Manchester, haven't you? Yeah, I have. Your dad drives red car, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. You've not got much furniture, have you? No, I haven't. I'm thinking, how does she know all that lot? Nosy neighbours. Are you a nosy neighbour? I've just bought a brand new fridge freezer. If you want my old one, you can have it. Well, I had a fridge freezer, because I got my grant for it, but I took hers in and I sold it to our kid for 20 quid. Do not look a gift horse in the mouth. We chatted for a bit just before she went. I don't know if you can help me, Doc, but I met this guy last week when I was taking my dog for a walk past the hospital up the road. And he told me that he went to church in the hospital grounds, and I've been looking for that church. Do you know where it is? Yeah, I do. I go to that church. I'll take you on Sunday. I'm like, oh no, I didn't want that. Sunday morning comes, bang, bang, couldn't get away from it. We both walk up Birchall Road together. We walk into the hospital grounds. He takes me into a prefab. Thought I'll go into a church. Everybody dressed really casual. A bit scruffy, really. A bit like you lot. I walked in with Dot. She sits on the second row from the front on the end. I'm thinking, what time's this going to be over? Then there was a tap on my shoulder. I looked round. It was the guy that I met on the bus with the boss, got the big fat neck and the short stumpy fingers. Are you all right, mate? I didn't think you were interested in coming. I wasn't. But Doc, he says, you don't need to introduce me to Doc. Well done, Doc, for bringing him. He sits there on the other side with his wife and his tribe. I'm now sat between the two of them thinking, beam me up, Scotty. And then I heard behind me, hallelujah, praise the Lord. I didn't know what that meant then. I looked round and my Nigerian psychiatrist walked through the door. Let's talk about, wow. Remember, I wasn't well. I think, this guy's been following me. How did he know I was going to be at that bus? How did he know to be on that bus after me? How did she get her flat? My doctor sat behind me. Whoa. Pressure was on. Didn't know whether to sit up straight. Rock, what do I do? Okay, confession time. I was really ill, but I used to play on it to keep those benefits bumped up, you know what I mean? Then the music started. My first day in church was a culture clash. This guy decided he was going to have a dance. And he started to do this skipping thing up and down the front of the prefab that we were in, like that Pentecostal two-step thing. He's doing this skipping thing. I'm thinking, what's he doing? Guy that I met on the bus, proper man's man. Cauliflower ears, skinhead, broken nose, tattoos, big belly, really good-looking guy. I clocked him out the corner of my eye and he was wiggling his bum doing this. We are marching in the light of God. I'm thinking, men don't do that where I come from. So he's one doing this skipping thing and he's doing this wiggling thing. And then my next door neighbour reached under the chair, put her hand in an Aldi bag and pulled out a tambourine. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I'm thinking, man, if people had told me church Jesus God had been here years ago, this is better than any LSD trip I've ever had. Woo. This guy doing this skipping and he was doing this wiggling and she was ka-ching, ka-ching. And then I looked over my shoulder, my Nigerian psychiatrist, who's a friend of mine now, Samuel, he had a Bible underneath his arm big enough to choke a giraffe. She came on a Honda. She came on a Honda. Who came on a Honda? She tied my bow tie too tight. You're not even wearing a bow tie. I crack a my shin on the Calagasita. There's no Calagasitas in sight. I remember looking thinking, man, that's my doctor. He's treating me. Never gonna get better. Hey, if you're a visitor here tonight and you're feeling uncomfortable, this ain't nothing compared to the first time I went to church, I tell you. This is good. Culture clash. After the music, this guy gets up after his spiel. We believe in a God who can heal. Is there anybody in this room with any issues? Is he having a laugh? Got more issues than Vogue. If you want to be prayed for anything, well, I wasn't into religion, man. Religion in our house was sport. 3 lads, no sisters. For me, music. From like the PSV club, from when I was a kid, and the punk scene, all that, the Manchester thing. Music, I found spirituality in that. And then later on, the Hacienda, all the big kind of Manchester stuff. Oh, and I prayed a lot of crisis prayers by now, though. God, give me bail. This is the last time. I know I said that the last time. So that's my spirit. That's as spiritual as I was. But this guy's telling me that God can help me with my issues. I thought, what have I got to lose? So I walked up front. There's only me stood there. Everybody was watching. What can I pray with you for? I'm thinking, how long have you got? What time do you want to be done? So I told him, I'm on 55 mils of methadone. I've been an heroin addict 15 years. But the main thing I need prayer for is that I hear voices. In fact, my doctor's sat down there. Okay, I'll pray with you. So I thought I'll close my eyes because that's what you do in church. I've seen it on the telly. And he put his hand on my head. I'm thinking, why is he touching me? I was going to well, I better roll with it because I'm in his gaff. And there's loads of witnesses. And he starts to pray, and I remember this like it was yesterday. After each prayer, he said this phrase, in the name of Jesus. I didn't know why then, but as he prayed and repeated that phrase, I was shaking. As he was praying and repeating that phrase, I had tears streaming down my cheeks. Something was going on inside. My stomach was hot. I was warm. As he prayed and repeated that phrase, I'm thinking, wow, get your hand off my head. Wow. And then he said, amen. And what does that mean? I opened my eyes and he sat down. I'm thinking I could have told me you're done. And I walked back to my seat, and from that point on, something changed. You see, all my natural get up and go had got up and gone. Drugs had become my get up and go, but on that day, after being prayed for, in the name of Jesus, all that get up and go that had got up and gone, got up and came back, because the big man became my get up and go. Within 4 weeks, after being prayed for, I came off all the drugs, and I've not taken drugs since. That's what you call a miracle. I was buzzing. Remember walking home. Whoa, whoa, wow. And I walked into my little flat and I shut the door behind me and I stood in the hallway. Silence for the first time in 9 years, no voices. And I haven't heard voices since. Until I got married to my wife. Worse than they've ever been. And I realised within no time that my mess could become a message. That my negative experiences could be used in a positive way. I went off to a college, Cliff Bible College. And I realised that I had a brain. I was one of the highest marked students there. Final year at college, I redeployed my drug dealing skills, set up a charity called Proclaim Trust on my day of graduation, 1999. I became the CEO of Proclaim Trust. We had £10 in the bank. I'm still the CEO of Proclaim Trust and we've still got £10 in the bank. And I started to travel early on, doing stuff overseas. Sri Lanka, I love the people out there. India, all that poverty, the people are beautiful. Went out there several times. Argentina 6 times. America several times. Took teams to Ibiza, reaching out to clubbers of the year 2000, 2001. Went to Italy, went to Germany, but then I found my lane. The UK is my parish. I'm off on the road tomorrow. I'm speaking in Foston Hall in the East Midlands, which is a jail, on Tuesday. Then I'm going to go up to the North East and speak in 2 jails on Wednesday. I've just come back from the North East. I've been up there for 5 days. Then on Saturday, I go to Scotland for 2 weeks. The UK is my parish. And there's nothing wrong with going overseas, but I needed to find my lane, and now I'm staying in that lane. And people say to me, Barry, why do you do what you do? I spend a lot of time away from the missus. Well, there's one reason. It's like Mark Greenwood, a friend of ours, always says, my wife needs me to be on the road for our relationship to work. But he's joking, of course. No, I love my wife most of the time. She's great. Why do I do what I do? Because I want people to get what I've got. You see, 2,000 years ago, 2,000 miles away, God put skin on. He became a man. His name is Jesus, and he came to this earth. And he was tempted, but he resisted temptation. And at the age of 33, he let them nail him to a cross. That was for you. He died on that cross to pay the price for your faults, flaws, and failures. And when you give him consent to come in, he gives you the strength that you need for the struggles that you faced on a daily basis. And he empowers you to change the things that you can't change on your own. But you need to give him consent to come in. If he was a burglar, he'd break in. He'd wait for it to go dark and he'd come and he'd try and kick in the back door. If he couldn't kick in the back door, he'd try and kick in the side door. If he couldn't kick in the doors, he'd try and jam you in through the windows. But God is not a burglar. He'll never try to break into anybody's life. He'll only ever come in through the legal entry. The legal entry to my house at home is the front door. The front door to your life is your will, and he stands at that door. He knocks and he waits. He knocks and he waits. He waits for you to open the door. And when you open the door, he steps into your story. And he starts to work with you. And he becomes the default when something hits the fan. For me, back in the day when I lived, a lot of it went on around here because I had a lot of mates in Disbury, student friends and all that, Hacienda and all stuff. Did a lot of parties around here back in the day, Palestine Road, headquarters for all of the early stuff that happened with the Hacienda and all that factory. When I think of all that stuff that went on there, and listen, right now, could be that you believe in God, but you've never opened the door. You've never been told you need to open the door. It could be that you're searching to connect with God, but you've not opened your door. It could be that you've got a beef with God for some reason. So I'm going to invite everybody to stand, please, if you're able. No going outside for a smoke just yet. And listen up. I'm going to pray a prayer. I'm going to invite two groups of people to pray this prayer with me. The first group, those people in this room, you've never prayed a prayer to give God consent to come in before. Yes, you may believe in him, but you've not asked him in. You could be searching and you've not found him. Pray this prayer. Open your door. The first group, those people in this room, you've never prayed a prayer. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm talking to you as well. First group of people, those people, you've never prayed a prayer. You've never given God consent to come in. Pray this prayer. The second group of people, those you have prayed a prayer. You've started a faith journey at some point in the past. But for whatever reason, right now, it's not happening for you. You've shut God out again. Pray this prayer so that you can step back in. And everybody else, if you're in the room, you make up the third group. You're going to pray this prayer to encourage the first group and the second group. Are we ready? If you're watching on YouTube, you're in the room, pray this prayer with me. Repeat after me. Dear God, I come to you tonight, and I admit that I'm not perfect. God, I ask that you forgive me for my faults, for my flaws, and for my failures. God, I ask that you wipe my slate clean, because right now I'm opening my door and I'm giving you consent to step in to my story. Give me the strength that I need for these struggles that I face, and give me the power to change the things that I can't change on my own. If you're in this room and you've prayed that prayer and you're part of the first group or the second group, can you put up your hand? Put up your hand so I can see it. Put up your hand so I can see it. Go on, keep your hands raised. Keep your hands raised so I can see it. We've got 1, 2, 3. Put your hands, 4. Put your hands down. 5. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. There's 5 people raised their hands, but there's more people in this room. If you're watching on YouTube, just put in the chat, I prayed that prayer, and somebody will be in touch. But there's more people in this room who's prayed that prayer. You're part of the first group or the second group. 5 people have raised their hands already. You don't need to raise them again. I'm going to count down 10 seconds. This is for the rest of you who've not raised your hand, but I want to say this before I count down 10 seconds. Park your pride outside. Put it in your pocket, put it in your jacket, put it in your handbag. Get it out of the way before I count down, because pride can stop you connecting with the big man tonight. So as I count down 10 seconds, if you've prayed that prayer, you're part of the first group or the second group, whether you're 9, 19 or 90, and you've not raised your hand, I want you to raise it as I count down. Anybody else? 10. Raise your hand so I can see it. You've got another one here. Anybody else? As I'm counting down. Another 2. Brilliant. Fantastic. Anybody else? Raise your hand so I can see it. 8. 3. Another 3. Anybody else? Anybody else? 7. Raise your hand so I can see it. If you prayed that prayer, you're part of the first group or the second group. Park your pride outside. 6. Anybody else? Got 10 people already. Anybody else? Raise your hand so I can see it. 5. Another one. Brilliant. 11. Anybody else? 4. Anybody else? Raise your hand so I can see it. 3. Anybody else? 2. 1. 11 people have raised your hands. I'm going to count to 3. On the point of 3, what I want you to do, leave your seats, go to the back. Why? Someone's going to meet you, Matt's going to meet you. I brought some packs with me. Inside each of those packs, there's a booklet that's wrote by a friend of mine and aunt's called J. John. Some of you know him, called Making the Connection. That's for you to take home with you. Also in that pack, there's a little card with this QR code on that I want you to scan. When you get back to wherever you're staying, get your phone, scan that QR code, and that'll take you to a video. Then I explain, what do you do next? On a video, okay? And there's also a little booklet that Ant's wrote as well that you can take with you as well. So you're going to get Ant's stuff and the stuff that I brought with me. Those people who raise your hands, go to the back. 1, 2, 3. You go now. Let's give them a round of applause as they leave their seats. Thank you. You go now. You go now. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. You keep going. You keep going. Brilliant. And remember, isn't that great? Remember, I've not come here tonight to tell you my story to glorify my past. The reason why I've come to tell you my story tonight is so that you can look at me and think, hey, if he can change, that means anybody can change. In fact, if he can change and stay changed for 25 years, that means anybody can change and stay changed for 25 years. My name's Barry Woodward. I was once an addict and now I'm clean. Thanks for coming out on your Sunday night. Nice one, top one sorted.